Welcome back to part 2 of our trip to the Kruger National Park. Our 4 nights at Crocodile Bridge produced some of the best sightings I've ever had in the park. So come along, you don't want to miss this. On our drive from Satara to Crocodile Bridge, we had a nice sighting of a tawny eagle eating some roadkill, before also getting a good view of a Corrie bustard walking in the field. I think buffalo sightings cause the least amount of excitement of all the big 5 animals, but for me, there is something special about driving through a large herd of buffaloes. Just before we got to Crocodile Bridge, we had our first leopard sighting. The queue was long, and just as we got into position, he jumped off of the tree and disappeared into the bush. We were still very happy and excited about this sighting. Because we arrived at Crocodile Bridge quite early, there was time to set up camp and head out for an afternoon game drive. Our game drive ended with yet another leopard sighting. The queue was long, but we patiently waited and found a few good viewing spots. We were very fortunate to witness this classic leopard in a tree pose, which have become synonymous with leopards. We stayed for as long as we could before heading back to camp. On our first morning drive from Crocodile Bridge, we found yet another leopard. He was actively patrolling the road and marking his territory. We were the first people there and were extremely excited. This is close to where we saw the leopards on the previous day, and I find it likely that this was one of them. We followed it down the road for some time until we realized there was another leopard in the road. I could not believe my eyes. They did not seem too bothered with each other, and I thought they were going to mate. Unfortunately, when they came close to each other, one of them got scared and ran into the bush. The other then also left the road on the opposite side. Despite our best attempts, we did not see them again. Our day continued getting better. We found a small pride of lions in the road and again had the sighting completely to ourselves. We thoroughly enjoyed being able to see them from so close and have the opportunity to spend some time with them. After spending quite a long time with the lions, we made the decision to drive on and got our timing spot on. After about half an hour, we found a pack of wild dogs in the road. Their sighting did not last as long. They were on the hunt and on the move. We followed them while we could, but unfortunately, they didn't stay in the road too long. On our way back to camp, we had another lion sighting, but there was a major traffic jam, so we only drove past. We also had a glimpse of a cheetah in the distance, and this capped off one of the best morning drives I've ever had in the park. 2 leopards in the road, a pride of lions in the road, a pack of wild dogs in the road, a lion next to the road, and a cheetah. And at the first 3 of these sightings, we were the only people there. On our afternoon drive, we drove north past Lower Sabi. The previous night there was a lot of rain in the area and the Sabi River was flowing strong. I could not believe when we saw a herd of elephants with a couple of young ones attempting to cross the river. We held our breaths for almost the entirety of the sighting and were afraid some of them might not make it. They moved in a large bundle, but some of the younger ones struggled to keep up and got separated a couple of times. But at the end they stuck together and no elephant was left behind. This was quite a unique sighting and it almost felt like a scene from a movie, seeing the little elephants using their trunks as snorkels. Our second morning started with a sighting which I will remember for the rest of my life. Not far from camp we found a small lion playing on a dead tree stump. We were the second vehicle there and had an amazing spot to watch him. He had two siblings who were in the grass below but were completely out of sight. If he had been there with them, I think we would have missed this epic sighting. As the sun started to rise, the sighting continued getting better. The cub was quite active, chewing on stuff and looking around the whole time. I think he was a bit bored and looked for something to do. After a while, he started chewing on one of the dead branches, and later started removing a piece of dead bark. He struggled a bit, but eventually he had it in his mouth. All that work was for nothing. Shortly after removing it, he dropped it again. He then tried picking it up with his paws, but his legs were too short. His attempt was one of the cutest things I have ever seen. It then looked as if he was trying to push his head through the triangle made by the dead branches, before he decided to continue chewing on the dead tree. He later walked to the end of the tree before he got into a difficult position when he tried to turn around. He got back onto his feet but was still facing the same direction as before. He waited a bit before again trying to turn around. It took a lot of effort and concentration to not fall off of a tree, but this time he was successful and managed to turn around. The cub decided to jump off of a tree and quickly disappeared into the tall green grass. We were afraid this sighting might be over, but we were very lucky as we then saw his siblings were on the move, and before we knew it, they were on an open dirt patch. The siblings were now also very active and playing with what looked to be a piece of elephant dung. We still hoped that the third sibling would join them, and luckily this turned out to be the case. All three of them were reunited again. For me, this moment was also extremely cute. It looked as if the one on the top left was worried about where their mother was, the one at the bottom just wanted to play, and the one on the right, he couldn't care less. There were relatively few vehicles for this type of sighting. I think it has to do with the fact that in January, the park entrance gate opens an hour after the camp gates. Once the day visitors started arriving, we decided to move on. We had a sighting similar to the one we had the previous day, a herd of elephants trying to cross the Sabi River. They easily made it to the middle, but then it started getting harder. Well, for some of them, it looked more like they were playing in the water than trying to cross. I am unsure whether they actually tried to cross or just enjoyed playing in the flowing water, but eventually they decided to head back to the side they came from. As with all campsites, there are some wildlife inside Crocodile Breach. On a previous trip, we saw a warthog with lots of babies, and this time lots of bushbuck and a couple of young ones. Luckily, they are quite tame and very cute. On our afternoon drive, we quickly found a lioness and a male lion, but they were very far away. Luckily, we found two more lions down the road, two big, black-maned male lions, right next to the road. This one had battle scars on his face, one under each eye, and apparently they were quite itchy. Luckily, he didn't have other injuries and looked to be in great condition. Early the next morning, we found more lions in the road. This male also had a scar under each eye. Initially, I didn't think it could be, but after reviewing the footage, I'm confident that this is the same male we saw the previous afternoon. This is quite astonishing. This sighting is about 20 kilometers as the crow flies from where we last saw them about 12 hours ago. This means they probably walked throughout the night. A lioness also joined them throughout the night. I still can't express how shocked I was when I discovered these were the same ones we saw at least 20 kilometers from here. And I wondered, is the whole area theirs, or did they need to pass through a couple of other territories, and do they often cover such large distances in a single night? The rest of our drive to Afzal was quite quiet, but we still enjoyed a brunch here. Later on, we were also lucky in having a rhino sighting on our way back to camp. I am no expert, but one of the rivers seemed to have an unusual amount of birds there, especially marabou stork. But except for the marabous, there was also a lot of other birds there. On our afternoon drive, we found the lions again. close to where they were this morning. What made the sighting special was that there were elephants nearby, but they were unaware or unbothered with the lions. Close to camp, we also had another leopard sighting, our first for a while, but it was very far away. We are still happy to have seen it. On our final morning, we sadly have to say goodbye to Crocodile Bridge, but luckily we still have a long drive to Orpen to look forward to. Crocodile Bridge blessed us with one final leopard sighting. He was crossing the road and quickly disappeared into the bush before anyone else could arrive, again showing just how important timing is. We also had a final rhino sighting, but they were very far away, probably the furthest I've ever seen a rhino. Had the people at the viewpoint not showed us them, I highly doubt we would have seen the rhinos.
Our time at Crocodile Bridge has unfortunately come to an end, but it was really special. After the rains on the first night, all the rivers were in full flow and the dams were full, and it was really cool to see. And the veld was beautiful and green, and the bird life was special, and we couldn't ask for more sightings. We saw lions and leopards and rhinos and wild dogs and cheetahs, and there isn't really anything you could see more. And every time I go to Crocodile Bridge, I just keep on liking the camp and the surrounding area more and more. These 8 days in the park were really special, and we got very lucky, and these were some of my best days in the park. We are now at Chokwane and on our way out to Orpen, so hopefully we could still get another lucky sighting or two.